This tutorial is the extension to my previous series on making a simple city builder. There should be a link in the description as well as in the top right corner of the screen if you want to learn how to create the starter project that we will use in this tutorial. In the description of this video, there should be a link to a GitHub repository containing the starter project for our tutorial. Now, if you have come from my previous tutorial about making a simple city builder game, please also create a new project using this Unity package. As I have introduced some changes to the previous project, I will explain them in the second part of this video. So download the O1 starter project Unity package and let's create a new Unity project. Okay, so we have our Unity hub opened. Let's create new. Unity 2020 should be good. Create a new project, and let's use the universal renderer pipeline, name it whatever name you want to give it, and let's create our project, and let's import our Unity package. Okay, we are in the new universal renderer pipeline project in Unity. Let's drag our package into our project, and we should see all those files appearing: materials, models, prefabs, preset, scene, scripts and settings. Let's import them all to our project. Okay, great. Upon finishing, you might have some warning informations. We can ignore them for now. And we have our casual game sounders are licensed CC0, as well as models for Quaternius Content Creator and some prefabs. If you want to know more about this project, you can watch my previous tutorial about making a simple city builder. Let's go to Scenes folder. Let's open our town scene. Okay, great. So we have our simple map. We have the terrain, which are those trees. We have an input system to gather input from the player. The placement manager has the grid structure, which stores the informations and is responsible for placing structures. The structure manager only drives the whole process and the UI. And we have game manager that connects everything together, the road manager, which is responsible for placing road cells on our map, and we have object detector that is responsible for detecting the objects on our map. Now, to finish preparing our project, we will need to add a couple of layers. So let's choose the layer in the inspector. Let's choose add layers, and first one will be nature and second one will be ground. Okay, make sure you type them correctly. And let's go back to our hierarchy. Let's choose our object detector and let's change the ground mask from nature, uncheck it, and check the ground. And also make sure that you go to our terrain in the hierarchy, which is responsible for our ground and the trees. And let's see what layer they are on. So we can select them all by sliding down in the hierarchy. They should all be on the layer nature. Now, we should be good to go to test our project if it all works. So let's press play and we should be able to click on one of the buttons in our UI, for example road, and we should be able to place our road. The nature is being destroyed when we place our road. We can choose house and now place a house. It can only be placed near a road, else it will tell you in the console that you must be placing the house near the road. We can place special. So houses are houses, specials are banks and shops, and we have the bigger structure to place, our place 2x2 structure. Okay, and we should see that we have our selection on our UI. You can see at the bottom the outline around the button, and that's basically it for our setup. That is the current version of our game. Now I will try to explain what have changed from the previous tutorial, so feel free to skip to the next video. And for those who has come from the previous tutorial, I'm going to explain now what has changed in the code. Okay, so first of all, let's open up the input manager to see what has changed here. Okay, so we are in our input manager. And first of all, we have changed the input for our action delegate and added the event statement, so our actions can't be nullified from other classes than inside the input manager. So this is a good practice because now we can only assign on unassigned from the action event, and we cannot really do anything that would harm the flow of our script. We are passing to the action ray on mouse click, on mouse hold, on mouse up, on mouse escape, and we have added this on mouse escape so we can exit the placement mode. So now if we have the event, we had to add some changes to our class. We have created a new public method called clear events because we can only nullify the events inside the class that the event belongs to. So we have added this clear event. And also I have removed the raycast hit functionality from the input manager. Since this is not its functionality, we are simply passing the values of the on mouse click. We are invoking the main camera screen to point ray, and we are passing the ray to our events so that our game manager can call an object detection script. I will show it in a bit, and it is responsible for shooting a ray and discovering if there is a game object or the ground underneath the spot where we have clicked. Okay, so those are the events, and you can check the code on your own to get more info about it. Now let's move to where we are using those. So right click and find all references, and we should see our input manager in our game manager. So let's open it up. We are now in our game manager. So game manager also has changed a bit since we have introduced the object detector. Let's go to it quickly so I will explain what it does. Go to the definition, and all it does, it has the public layer mask ground, which was previously in our input manager, and it has two methods, raycast ground, the previous method to raycast the ground, but instead of passing the vector 3, we are passing the ray directly here. And we have our raycast all, which will simply return any game object that is underneath the space where we have clicked with our mouse. So this is it. You can use Ctrl- to go backwards until we go back to our game manager. So this is our object detector. Now it has changed a bit in the start method since we are adding the road placement handler, house placement handler a bit differently, since we have those methods. And we have introduced a process input and call method, which simply gets the vector3 int callback and array, and now we can call the appropriate object detection method and pass to our callback, which is our previous callback, so previous handler that we have assigned. So this is the handler from our road placement and placement manager. So those are the methods called by the road manager or placement manager. I think we have them here. So big structure placement simply calls the structure manager place big structure as the callback and the position on the process input and call, and then the process input and call generates the vector3 int, and if it has value, we are only then invoking the callback. So this decouples our logic for raycasting and for input a bit more. Okay, so that's basically it. You can check it on your own. What the changes were made here. And now last place when we have changes is the grid and the placement manager. So let's go to the grid first. Great. Now here not much has changed apart from fixing the methods for getting the random road points, and I have introduced those lists of points, road list, special structure and house structure, and we are adding in the cell type. When we are setting the cell type in the set, if the value is equal to road, we are adding to the road list, to the special structure list, and to the house structure list. And this is only because we can then call the get random road point, get random special structure point, and we are simply using Unity Engine random range, and we are getting the random position, as well as we have the three methods to get all houses, get all special structures, and I don't think we have to get all road structures, but we can introduce it. In any case, we are going to use those to get the possible space for our pedestrians to spawn. So get all houses will yield us the result of all the house positions, and then we will be able to spawn pedestrians at all houses at once, so we can see this living city move a little bit faster than spawning them one by one. Okay, and now last class is the placement manager, so let's go there. Okay. I don't think there is much here to change beside the methods that we have called in the grid structure. So now we need to introduce them in our placement manager so other classes can get access to them. So we have a get structure add to be able to ask the placement manager what is in the given structure, as well as to get all special structures, get all houses, get random house, get random special structure, and get random road. And that's basically it for the placement manager. And those are only called the placement grid, get random structure, and returns them, so the results from the grid are passed through the placement manager. Okay, again, feel free to explore the code on your own, and see you in the next video.